It all started with a laugh, a sharp, mocking cackle that sliced through the quiet morning air like a knife. Linda stood at the edge of her pristine lawn, arms folded, her designer sunglasses perched on her nose like she was about to deliver a guilty verdict. "What saws saw this?" she sneered, her voice dripping with theatrical disdain. "A jungle gym for squirrels?" She was staring at my brand-new bamboo fence, a labor of love I'd spent 3 sweaty days building by hand. To me, it was a nod to nature sustainable, locally sourced, a quiet stand for leaving lightly on the earth. To Linda, it was apparently a crime against her manicured suburban empire. I'd moved to this neighborhood for peace, a place to grow my tomatoes, tend my cows, and breathe easy. But peace wasn't on the menu when Linda, the self-crowned queen of the Homeowners Association, had a clipboard in one hand and a vendetta in the other. She didn't just laugh that day. Oh no, she whipped out her phone, snapping pictures of my fence like it was a freak show exhibit, muttering loudly enough for me to hear, "The HOA's gonna have a field day with saw this saw." That's when I knew it wasn't about bamboo. It was about control. By noon, my fence was the star of the neighborhood's Facebook group, captioned, "Looks like someone's opening a safari park." Laughing emojis piled up, fueled by Linda's HOA loyalists. "Why not just use twigs and dirt?" one sniped. "Third world VY Bess," another chimed in. Humiliation stung, but anger burned hotter. A week later, an official HOA letter landed in my mailbox, demanding I upgrade my fence to meet aesthetic standards. No specifics, just a 30-day deadline and a fine if I didn't comply. I read it 3 times, each word pulsing with Linda's smugness. They didn't care that my fence was safe, eco-friendly, and on saw-my-saw property. They wanted conformity, and Linda hated anything that dared to stand out. I thought about CAVYing. Replacing a fence isn't cheap, and I'm no millionaire. But then I heard her laugh again in my head at condescending, nasal cackle and saw her smug face, looking at my home like it was a dumpster next to her rose garden. That image festered, and when something festers long enough, it sparks an idea. That evening, I sat on my porch, sipping tea, watching my cows graze. One dropped a steaming pile near the fence, and I didn't look away. I stared at it like it was a revelation. Why not? If Linda hated bamboo, she'd love saw a 10-foot wall made of cow dung bricks. It wasn't as crazy as it sounds. I'd read about cow dung bricks used in places like India and Africa strong, biodegradable, cost-effective, even insulating. A quick Google search later, I was deep in tutorials on molding and sun-drying dung. Disgusting? Sure. Genius? Absolutely. The next morning, I hit the hardware store for a brick mold, gloves, buckets, and a beat-up wheelbarrow. The cashier asked if I was building a fire pit. "Our project," I said with a grin. He didn't press. Back home, I fired up the hose and mixed my first batch. The smell was unholy eyes-watering, shirt destined for the burn pile. But after shaping a dozen bricks, I felt something new. Power. Quiet, satisfying power, baking in the sun, one brick at a time. By day 3, I had over 100 bricks and started stacking them around the bamboo fence, creating a smooth, brown monolith. I worked at dawn and dusk to avoid Linda's prying eyes, but it didn't take long for her to catch on. One afternoon, I spotted her peering through binoculars. I waved. She stormed over, gloved hands on hips, demanding to know what I was doing. "Eco-art installation," I said deadpan. "Cow dung bricks are renewable, protected under the HOA's sustainability clause." I'd already filed a form calling it the Earth Wall, a statement on nature's boundaries, complete with a stamped approval. Linda's jaw twitched like she'd bitten a lemon. She threatened an emergency HOA meeting. I handed her a laminated copy of my paperwork. She squinted at it, nose wrinkled, and hissed, "You're joking." "Dead serious," I shot back. Wouldn't want to upset the HOA's green initiatives. She stormed off, and that night, I sat under the stars, my dung wall glowing under the porch light, proud and defiant. Linda had started a war over sticks. She had no idea she was about to lose it to cow poop. The next morning, Linda rallied her troops to the HOA's beautification committee, a trio armed with clipboards and one guy just there for the donuts. They circled my property like vultures, noses scrunched like they were sniffing a landfill. I kept stacking my sun-dried bricks, each one a perfect, earthy block. They thought it was a health hazard. I saw a masterpiece. I'd filed my EcoArt declaration a week earlier, complete with a QR code linking to a documentary on cow dung architecture. The HOA, probably skimming it, had rubber-stamped it. Too late now. The smell, strong at first, was mellowing-eyed, mixed in straw and soil for better texture and odor control. Still, Linda put on a show, coughing dramatically whenever she passed, clutching a lavender-scented handkerchief like a Victorian widow. Her poodle, Tinkerbell, didn't care, sniffing the wall curiously until Linda yanked her leash like it was a grenade. By week's end, my wall was halfway up, a 10-foot fortress of petty revenge. Linda snapped, storming my driveway as I smoothed the top layer. "This can't be legal," she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger. I wiped my hands on my apron and gestured to the laminated HOA approval posted by my gate. "EcoArt," I said, smiling. "I call it the natural DVY." Her face twisted like she'd swallowed battery acid. She threatened the health department. I shrugged. "Checked already. It's just natural building material, like mud bricks. Legal in over 30 countries. Want the list?" She didn't. The HOA's emergency meeting was a flop. Linda waved black and white photos of my wall like crime scene EVY Denke, ranting about property values and excrement walls. Some nodded, others yawned. One guy asked if it was biodegradable. "Yes," I said. "That's the point." Another asked if I used my own cow's manure. "Yup," I replied. They were generous. A few chuckled. Linda fumed. The wall started drawing VY Citrus neighbors, then strangers, sparked by Linda's VY Row Facebook rant. A friend printed T-shirts with "Built from Bull Du La the Saw" over a wall silhouette. They sold out in days. Linda tried to protest, inviting a local news crew for a segment called "Neighborhood Held Hostage by Cow Wall." It backfired. The reporter called my wall an innovative stand against suburban conformity. Linda ranted about poisonous air, but a gust of wind hit during filming, and she gagged on live TV. The clip went VY Row, captioned "Karen versus Nature." HOA members started questioning her reign. I hadn't just built a wall, I'd sparked a rebellion. Then an art teacher called, asking if her students could tour the wall for their eco-design unit. I said yes. They loved it, calling it functional performance art. Linda watched from her window, lips pursed. I waved. She yanked her curtains shut. But I wasn't done. Linda's next move was a stack of complaint letters in my mailbox, all in her handwriting, calling me the poop wall anarchist. I laughed. Then she brought a city inspector, pointing at my wall like it was a biohazard. I showed him my laminated approvals. He shook my hand, said he wished more folks were this thorough, and left. Linda's fake smile cracked. She tried one last jab-in HOA letter accusing me of running a business because students and tourists VY cited. I leaned into it, filing for an event permit to host monthly eco-art experiences with tours, talks, and merch. The first event was a hit. Kids made clay bricks, families snapped selfies, vendors sold compost bins. Linda showed up with a megaphone, shouting about exploiting animal waste. A toddler yelled, "I made a cow poop brick," and the crowd roared. Then Linda sprayed air freshener on the warm wall, triggering a chemical stench, so VY Luth 3 people gagged. She slipped in the wet patch, flailing into my basil patch as her bottle flew like a missile. Phones caught it all. The slow-mo VY Deo went VY Row, dubbed the air freshener Avenger. Linda's fall topped the HOA's Facebook group, posted anonymously with the caption, "Maybe she should have used humility." Her grip was slipping. A lawsuit claiming emotional distress got laughed out of court. Then the city's arts committee called. They wanted to name my wall a local expression landmark. I accepted, grinning. Linda's house was now opposite a tourist attraction. She hid behind curtains, her yard littered with broken air freshener bottles. The wall became a phenomenon. The city added it to the culture map, printing pamphlets titled "The Natural DVY." Local shops offered discounts for wall selfies. I built a VY Ewing platform, carved a mural of VY Ness, cows, and the words sustain, resist, compost lit by solar lights. Linda tried a megaphone rant during a night tour, calling it poop art. The crowd laughed, and a tourist photo caption, "Karen versus the Compost Cathedral," got 10,000 likes. I hosted an eco-art fair, artists, farmers, and kids building mini walls from clay. Linda's complaint to the city flopped. The health officer left with jam and a basil plant. The HOA imploded. Half the board wanted Linda gone. The new president, Mrs. Gomez, a botanist, added a natural DVY to policy promoting eco-art. A plaque went up, "Community Art Landmark, the Natural DVY." A streaming Sarah VYC filmed it for a documentary on suburban defiance. Linda's objection letter was read aloud over footage of tourists admiring the wall, trending as the poop wall. Local businesses sold compost cookie crunch and wall-shaped pen holders. The funds I got went to eco-education. Linda tried to sell her house, but buyers either loved the wall or balked at its fame. She painted it a new color to dodge recognition. It didn't work. Artists added mosaics and butterfly paintings. The wall became a levying canvas. A teacher said her students studied it in social studies, when art changed everything. A girl left a note. "This wall made me believe I could be creative." It wasn't just revenge, it was transformation. 6 months after Linda's laugh, my wall was the neighborhood's heart. Tourists snapped photos daily, right outside her window, where sustain, resist, compost glowed. Her HOA empire was dust, her house the one across from the wall. Every curtain twitch was a reminder. She started it, I finished it. The wall didn't just DVYD united, turning shame into art, mockery into a movement, and cow dung into history. What do you think? Did I go too far with the wall? Or was Linda's bullying the real crime? Should HOAs have the power to control personal property like this? Would you build your own natural DVY to stand up to a neighbor? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're team poop wall, and subscribe for more stories of epic comebacks.